Alright guys, so after what felt like years, weeks, months of speculating, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 has finally dashed into theatres and I got a chance to see it on the opening day. And as someone who grew up loving the Sonic games and have loved the films, and I did really enjoy Knuckles, this film is brilliant. However, before we go any further, this will be a completely spoiler-free review, so let me know your thoughts down below on Sonic the Hedgehog 3 before we go any further. However, let's get started with my review of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and to put it into small words, as I always do, this film basically exceeded all of my expectations. I mean, if you were someone who watched my trailer reaction, you knew I was really, really excited for this film. And as a massive fan of all of the Sonic games, I mean, apart from Sonic 06, it isn't too great, and the characters and just this world, I thought that they imagined it and they brought the story of Shadow to life in the best way possible. And I can safely say that this is the perfect Sonic movie. This is the Sonic film we have been waiting for. This film basically took everything I loved about the first two and took away everything I wasn't so keen on and times it by 1,000, and we got this, and it really, really works. To start off, Shadow has always been my favourite Sonic character, so when they were introducing him into this world, I was very, very excited, and I can safely say Keanu Reeves does a absolutely phenomenal job. It's actually a very moving role as well. He just presents so much emotion in his voice and also has that darker voice for Shadow as well, and during those emotional scenes, he's really able to evoke that emotion. That was a big surprise to me. I mean, we get Shadow's backstory here, and without going into too many spoilers, they do it amazing. They do it pushing those PG limits. I mean, there are going to be some people complaining because they do change some stuff from Sonic Adventure 2. It's not word for word, beat for beat. There are different elements. They had to because this is a PG. But I still think it was really, really great how they did it, and I was really happy with it, and I just thought the way they brought it to life was really beautiful, and just that relationship between Shadow and Maria was done so, so great. And as we all expect when we go to these Sonic films, Jim Carrey does a phenomenal job, and you can just tell that he's having such a good time. This time with double the fun, as he is portraying Ivo Robotnik and Gerald Robotnik. He's a lot of fun, and he just has such good chemistry with himself. And some of that humour is so funny. There are some scenes which, with him, genuinely had me laughing out loud. They were so, so funny. And he just portrays this character so well, and there's double the fun, so it's a lot of fun. And moving on to the human characters a little bit, they're handled really well. There is no wedding subplot here, and that was a big issue with the first Sonic film and the second one. But the second one had this wedding subplot that lasted about 20 minutes, and we're kind of like, I kind of just want to get back to the adventure with Sonic and Tails, really. And this film gets rid of that. And I thought the way that the humans were used was very good. Tom and Maddie were used in a way which affected the plot. They had a purpose for being there. And then you have Rachel and Randall, who are used so much better here. And I actually appreciated when they were on screen because they weren't full front and centre. And they really delved into those personalities just a little bit better. So they were a bit more likeable and a bit more fun characters. So there's no random subplots, anything like that. And also, as you'd expect, Team Sonic's great. You know, they're all given that moment to shine. I mean, Sonic's the speedster, Knuckles is the muscle, and Tails is the tech guy. And they're all given their own moment to shine in the film, where they all get their own bit to help out and do what they mean best, really. And the film surprised me in how dark it was willing to get. It doesn't go crazy, but it's willing to dive into different themes and different emotions. Of course, Shadow is a very complex character. I mean, he's the first serious character in this franchise, and he's handled really well. And they really gave Ivo Robotnik such a great little character arc. Nothing too intentional. We're not talking Christopher Nolan stuff, but they gave him something where I left feeling satisfied, and it really did bring out some emotions here, and I really did enjoy what they did with his character. And they dive into some storylines where he grew up without a family, he grew up without anything and no one to love him. So then they also throw in this other subplot with Agent Stone, which is really good, and of course Gerald Robotnik is there as well. And the film isn't afraid to get dark. Of course it has those humour bits and those silly scenes. However, I never felt like during the Shadow backstory scenes that we were cutting away with a joke. There are some issues with the humour, but we'll move on to that in just a minute. And I must say that without saying anything, the last 30 to 40 minutes of this film are hell yeah moments. It's fan service done right, it packs an emotional punch, but it's also really, really fun to see on screen. And this might be, as I've heard a lot of people saying, the closest we're ever going to get to a decent Dragon Ball Z film. And just that final battle hits hard. Whether you grew up with the Sonic games or you're new to this franchise, you will feel that tension, you will get that enjoyment, and you will think, this is epic, this is Avengers level. That's what it reached. And we're constantly kicking back to the CGI characters, and it works really well because they knew what they wanted to give us, and they don't fail at supplying us with that fun. I thought this film just worked so well. It's action sequence after action sequence. Whether you like that or not, it provides that, and it does a phenomenal job at doing that. And I think all of the voice work was great, from Colin Stromanesi, we have Ben Schwartz, we have Idris Elba, and of course Jim Carrey, Keanu Reeves, and everything. I thought they all did a phenomenal job, and they really evoked that emotion as well. And also, we get to travel to new places here. So, you know, the last time we were kind of traveling to Hawaii and things. This time we're going to London and we're going to Tokyo. Really great places to have some action sequences, and they don't disappoint. And that CGI looks so good. I think it's even an improvement over the other two. And I mean, if you look at like the first trailer and the second trailer, you can even see the CGI changed. Really great. Really respect that. I'm so happy with that. I think the CGI was phenomenal here. Like, these are real characters to me, and I love it. So, with that said, let's move on to the mixed aspects of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and these aren't necessarily good or bad things, just things which might be worth letting you know before we go into this. And there's kind of only one thing to say, really, or kind of two, actually. There is a mid and a post-credit scene. The mid-credit scene is the one that everyone's talking about. The post-credit scene is 100% worth staying for, though, because it touches on a plot line which was left after the film ended. So definitely do stay for that. And kind of just to say, this is a more mature Sonic film. This definitely dives into darker, more upsetting elements. In my screen, there were some children who weren't very keen on that. It definitely gets more intense and a bit darker than the other two. I mean, it's a PG, it's a Sonic film, you know, you get what you pay for. But there are some scenes in there, so do be aware. However, with that said, let's move on to the bad of Sonic 3. And I definitely think the thing which drags this film down is the humour. As much as I say, you know, when we get those Shadow backstory moments, they're handled really well. There's also a lot of scenes where the humour just gets a bit too much for me. There's dancing, there's silly humour, and there's Sonic's one-liners. Sonic's one-liners have always been very hit or miss. Some of them are quite good, some of them are okay, some of them are just blatantly bad, and I think this is the weakest Sonic's one-liners have been. You know, they're pop culture reference. There's one where he talks about Google Maps and stuff. To me, that's not even a joke, it's just a statement, and there's no real flair to it. And they're just going to keep going and going and going and going with this humour. And it's really frustrating because it does take away from those more mature scenes. Of course, I know they have to have humour. This is a kids' film at the end of the day. However, that does drag this film down just a little bit when it's diving into that silly humour and things. So I kind of wish that it had stayed away from that just a little bit. And I also felt like it moved very fast. Like, it's an hour and 50, And I was quite surprised in how fast it moved. I mean, it does go from action sequence to action sequence, which I did say was good. And it knocks like 10 to 12 minutes off with the second film. However, the humour and the pacing are definitely the biggest issues here. The pacing just moves really, really fast. Like, I was like, oh, I didn't realise we were moving into this quick. Like, I didn't realise we were doing that. But, yeah. But I respect it because there's no wedding plot, so I can let that one slip. But the humour really needs to stop. It's Jim Carrey that carries it, but even his jokes don't always hit, you know, so the humour really needs some work. But apart from that, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 gave me everything I wanted, with references to games, a great plot, emotion, mature themes. It's got it all. So I'm giving Sonic 3 a 9.5 out of 10. It's one of my favourite films of the year already. Absolutely love it. If you're a Sonic fan, I 100% recommend you go see it. If you like the first two, I think you're going to really enjoy this one as well. And if you've ever grown up with Sonic or had any fun with the games, this film will please you to death, because it's just a really, really great fun film to watch around the holidays. However, guys, that is going to wrap up this video. So thanks for watching. Please comment, subscribe, share this video with your friends, family, and let me know in the comments, what did you think of Sonic 3? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you somewhere in the middle? And will you be seeing Sonic 3 or Mufasa this Christmas? However, you're probably seeing this on Christmas Eve, if not Christmas Day. So I hope you all have an amazing Christmas. I hope you all have a fun time and eat loads of food. But that's all for now, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.